You are standing at the sink, washing a pan, your mind completely blank. Then, out of nowhere, a pop song hijacks your brain. Scientists call this phenomenon involuntary musical imagery, or INMI, and it is incredibly common. Surveys show that over 90% of people experience these internal radio broadcasts at least once a week. These auditory intrusions are highly opportunistic. They strike specifically when your cognitive load is low, while you are waiting in line, or folding your laundry, or just letting your mind wander. The true torture of an earworm is that your brain almost never plays the entire track. Instead, it isolates a short 15 to 20-second fragment and places it on an endless, involuntary loop. Because repetition is such a strong trigger, it is easy to blame this looping on modern technology. We spend our days surrounded by streaming platforms and social feeds built to serve up the exact same catchy audio hooks over and over again. But the written record shows otherwise. Back in 1876, a full year before the phonograph was even invented, Mark Twain wrote a short story about an entire town taken hostage by a rhyming jingle. This persistence across history suggests that earworms are a basic psychological phenomenon, a long-standing byproduct of how humans process memory and sound. While our brains are naturally susceptible to looping thoughts, they do not latch on to just any sound. To burrow effectively into our memory, an earworm requires a very specific type of musical bait. The first variable is tempo. Researchers have found that the stickiest songs clock in around 124 beats per minute. This specific speed aligns precisely with the human body's preferred spontaneous motor rhythm, making tracks like Lady Gaga's Bad Romance incredibly easy for our internal pacing to adopt. Next, look at this graph of the melodic shape. The most contagious songs feature a simple pitch contour that smoothly rises and falls, exactly like basic nursery rhymes. But the final trap is an unexpected interval. Mid-pattern, the melody jumps sharply. That element of surprise forces the brain to pay attention. Pop producers spend millions engineering these elements to create hit singles. These specific musical triggers effectively exploit vulnerabilities in how human memory processes information. In the 1920s, a Soviet psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik noticed something strange at a cafe. Waiters could recall the exact details of complex unpaid orders from memory, but the moment the bill was settled, the order vanished entirely from their minds. This became known as the Zygarnik effect. It is the psychological principle that the human brain actively holds on to incomplete tasks, deeply craving a resolution. When you hear a catchy chorus on a passing car radio, you are only catching a snippet of a larger whole. Your brain registers that isolated melody as an unfinished task. To solve it, your working memory plays that fragment continuously, searching for an ending that never comes. And this mental loop triggers a physical response. Processing this unfinished musical memory engages what scientists call the articulatory motor planning system. This means you are actually sub-vocalizing the song. Even with your mouth completely shut, your brain is sending tiny, imperceptible neurological signals to your throat and jaw muscles, commanding them to sing along to the lyric. This creates a neurological hostage situation, caught between a mental desire for closure and physical muscle memory in the throat. Trying to force the music out of your head will only backfire. This triggers the polar bear problem. If you tell yourself not to think of a white bear, your brain has to constantly check to see if you are still thinking about the bear, which only reinforces the thought. A reliable way to break the cycle is to confront the song directly. Look up the track and listen to it intentionally from the very first note all the way to the end. By hearing the final chord, you artificially provide the closure your memory craves. This satisfies the Zygarnik effect, signaling to your brain that the task is finished so it can finally delete the loop. If you can't play the song, you can distract your working memory by hitting a specific cognitive sweet spot. Research shows that moderately difficult word puzzles, like anagrams, are highly effective at displacing the tune. This split screen shows why word puzzles work. Because earworms almost always contain lyrics, they rely on the exact same verbal processing centers you use to read. When you force your brain to decipher an anagram, it pushes the musical lyric out of that limited capacity. But the difficulty must be balanced. If a puzzle or a math problem is too frustrating, the brain gives up entirely. The cognitive load drops to zero, leaving your working memory wide open for the earworm to rush right back in. Another effective method involves the physical act of chewing gum as vigorously as possible. This physical action directly sabotages the subvocalization process. By forcing your jaw and throat muscles to perform a heavy, repetitive physical task, you successfully jam the tiny nerve signals your brain is trying to use to sing the lyric. These strategies demonstrate that earworms are predictable mechanical glitches that can be systematically deactivated using the brain's own rules. Ultimately, getting a song stuck in your head is a sign that things are working exactly as they should. It is proof that human brains are incredibly active, pattern-seeking machines, constantly trying to solve puzzles even when we aren't consciously paying attention. We want to know what your brain has been looping. Share your worst recent earworms in the comments below. And if this helped you finally find some quiet, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with any friends currently suffering from stuck song syndrome.